In 1946, when I was just 5 years old, my grandfather took over the herring saltery on Pender Island. He assigned my dad to run the business, and the family moved to a small house overlooking Otter Bay. Times were simpler then. No more flannel trousers, long socks, button-up blazers. Instead, simple t-shirts, shorts, and leather lace-ups. All that water, all those boats. Heaven for a small, curious boy. From age 7, I was allowed to choose any rowboat and take it out on my own. One day, after returning from rowing in the bay, I got out of the boat and tied it to the ladder at the wharf's edge. Later, when I went back to the boat, I got quite a surprise. The tide had gone out, and the boat, having been tied with only one line to the bow, was hanging vertically 4 feet from the water. I took out my ever-present pocket knife, cut the rope, releasing the boat into the water. I quickly climbed down the ladder and caught the boat before it drifted away from the dock. That day I learned a most valuable lesson. When you tie up a boat, be sure to leave lots of slack on the lines for the rising and falling tides. That was probably the best boating lesson I ever learned. Dad had a high-powered workboat that intrigued me. One day I brought a group of friends to the dock to show off my boating skills. The keys were in the ignition, and the temptation was just too great to resist. Not noticing that the boat was in gear, I turned the key. What a surprise we got when we sped forward, knocking us backward and landing the boat atop a pile of logs in front of the cookhouse. To get the boat back into its slip, we tugged, pulled, rowed till we finally got it back in place. The lesson I learned this time was when you start a boat, be sure to take it out of gear before turning the key. In grade 8, Dad gave me my own putt-putt and allowed me to travel around the island at will. Occasionally I took the boat to the store at Hope Bay to pick up groceries for Mum. One day, while heading down the Navy Channel to Hope Bay, I heard a loud burst of air. I looked to the left, and there, almost within touching distance, was a huge orca. On the other side was its partner, just as big and just as frightening. They were so close I could see into their eyes and smell their fishy breath. I was sure they were going to eat me. My heart pounded as these two giants escorted me through the water. I drove the boat straight up on the beach, jumped out, left the motor running, and ran as far away from the water as possible. When I looked back, I saw the whales slowly disappearing down the channel. I sat on the beach for a long time, waiting for my heart to return to normal. I really didn't want to get back in the boat. Later, when I was in high school, Dad bought a 38-foot commercial trawler, the Airflow. The killer whales weren't quite so scary as I trolled active paths fishing for salmon, herring, and cod. The lesson I learned this time was when traveling through orca waters, boats with higher freeboard feel a lot safer than little putt-putts. Otter Bay. All that water, all those boats, all those lessons, the making of a seaman for sure.